Seeing as spooky season is now upon us, it's time to look at my absolute favorite spooky season levels in Nintendo Entertainment System games. There's just something about the crisp fall air as leaves start to fall, pumpkins decorate porches, and of course the candy is out of control. There are a lot of spooky level lists out there, but I noticed no one had done a great list of original Nintendo levels. So here is a purely NES collection of my top 10 favorite spooky season levels. I'm the Play It Again Pastor, and today we're counting down my top 10 favorite NES levels to play during spooky season. So the rules for this list, for this top 10 list, I'm including any level that has a spooky quote-unquote vibe. I know that sounds super subjective, and it is, because this is my list, so that's what we're going with. Basically, my criteria was the level had to be one that included some sort of spooky atmosphere or enemies. And I know there are some straight-up horror games for the NES, and to be honest, some of them I haven't played, so they might not make it onto this list. Again, this is my favorites. So with that, let's get right into my top 10 favorite NES levels to play during spooky season. What are yours? Comment below with your favorites or any I might have missed. Number 10, the Haunted House level in Tailspin. Okay, so I've mentioned before that this game is one I loved and hated growing up, mainly because there is a steep difficulty curve, and this level is one of the first that can give you a lot of trouble in this game. From the large ghosts that chase you around and then break apart into smaller ghosts the minute you blast them with your ship, to the infuriating fireplaces that spit up crackling embers that will nearly always hit you no matter how many times you try. This level can reach annoying fairly quickly. There's a reason this level is on the bottom of the list, and it's the punishing difficulty. This level was hard when I was a kid, and it's the same even now as an adult. I died probably 10 times just getting this footage, and all the sections that drove me to the edge back then still do now. But the graphics are fun, the atmosphere is great, and the final boss is somewhat comical to battle with the bow tie, the hat, the flying fists of fury. So if you're looking for the bottom of my list, here it is. Things only get better from here. Number 9, Stage 6-1 in the Bugs Bunny Birthday Blowout. Coming in at the number 9 spot is Stage 6-1 from the Bugs Bunny Birthday Blowout. Okay, so this game is not necessarily the best game ever created for the NES, but I have a soft spot for this game, mainly due to the nostalgia, but I recognize its definite flaws. For one, the hitboxes on this game are ridiculous. Bug swings a hammer to take out enemies, but the hammer has to be in just the right spot in order to even think about hitting one of those soapboxes or walking hammers that come at you. Also, the moments when there is a sheer level of way too many enemies on screen is one too many in this game. The lag is real. The sixth world, though, contains a series of levels set in a mansion, or is it a castle, or a house? I'm not really sure, but there are definitely spooky season vibes to be found here, from spikes and chains and ghosts floating around, and walking hammers, and whatever those orange floating fireballs, suns, whatever those are. It's really a strange game, but it can be fun. In each level you collect carrots that will help with bonuses where you can earn extra lives after the level. Once you pick up a carrot, they turn into blocks you can stand on, so at times you have to puzzle your way past enemies and figure out the best way to platform through each section in order to make it to the level's end, where here you face off with Daffy Duck, trying to reach a giant carrot that will transform into a hot air balloon, taking you to the next level. Seriously, it's an odd game. I can't say it's necessarily worth it to play all the way through the previous stages in order to reach this one, but if you have some nostalgia for Looney Tunes, or this game, or Bugs Bunny and retro video games in general, then this might be just the spooky pick for you. Number 8, the Sunken Ship in The Little Mermaid. Capcom was on a roll with the Disney video game adaptations for the NES, and some of these are the best the system had to offer for platformers tied into the various Disney IPs. In 1991, Nintendo released The Little Mermaid, a very short game that really isn't that difficult at all, but has superb graphics and some fun gameplay mechanics. While the second level, The Sunken Ship, may not exactly be the spookiest level on this list, there are some fish masquerading as ghosts in the level, and the Sunken Ship vibe is a fun spooky alternative to haunted houses and mansions. The final bosses in this level are Ursula's eels, Flotsam and Jetsam, whose eyes appear before they shoot out of one of the many breaks in the side of the ship. This might be one of the easiest levels in the list, and the least spooky, but there's enough here to qualify for spooky season. Number 7. The Haunted Warehouse in Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers 2. One of the last games to release for the NES in 1994, Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers 2 is a game that took on almost mythical legend status in my house growing up. My brother and I were so excited when we spotted this game for rent. We had loved the first entry in the series, especially due to the ability to play as both Chip and Dale on screen at the same time. We plowed through this game as kids, and one of our favorite levels was always the Haunted Warehouse. Fat Cat has opened an evil urn and released ghosts into the warehouse that Chip and Dale must enter to put a literal lid on the ghost situation. You make your way through the warehouse past candlesticks, ghosts, and even sections that turn out all the lights for a moment or two. The graphics are typical Capcom amazingness, all except for the boss of the level. The mummy villain you have to fight has always been an odd-looking one, but not too tricky to defeat once you figure out the pattern. Dodging from side to side and tossing the mummified orbs at the ghost will end the level and bust up the ghost for good. There are some great background animations here that add to the spooky vibe. This definitely has to be a great way to game through the season. Number 6. Draculas Castle in The Flintstones, The Rescue of Dino and Hoppy. I remember watching The Flintstones growing up, and I especially loved the Flintstones Meet Dracula and Frankenstone TV special. And when I discovered the Flintstones NES game, I thought I would give it a chance, and it has always been a game that's been in rotation in my Nintendo ever since. Some of the controls are a bit sticky and slow, but overall this game is a lot of fun. One of the highlights is Draculas Castle, where you fight not only Count Dracula, but also the Frankenstone monster later on. Filled with walking skeletons and bats, this definitely fits the list as a spooky season NES level. In one section, you must climb up the tower as fast as you can as what I am going to presume is lava rises beneath you. The sequence is notoriously difficult to pass and took several tries before I could finally make it up. There are some tight jumps and puzzle sections, but overall this is a fun one to play. The final battle with Count Dracula isn't too tricky once you've got the pattern down. It's easier if you have axes to throw than if you're using Fred's club to battle with, but even the club can get the job done of whacking that Count back to the Stone Age. Number 5. Scotland in DuckTales 2. I cannot lie, the original DuckTales cartoon series is one of my favorites and probably will always be one of the fondest memories of Disney afternoons from my childhood. So it's no secret that both DuckTales and its sequel DuckTales 2 are some of my favorite games on the NES. Released in 1993, DuckTales 2 is another title from the near end of the NES life cycle, and it improves upon the original DuckTales in a lot of ways. There are more secrets to discover, more bonus endings, and 5 brand new areas to explore. The levels can be played in any order, but Scotland is best played after you've already upgraded Scrooge McDuck's cane. There are a couple of secrets you can only collect once you have those upgrades. Scotland is filled with floating hands, night ducks, frogs, and so many false walls, it's a wonder the whole castle hasn't already fallen down. In DuckTales 2, each level contains a piece of a hidden map that once fully collected leads to a bonus ending. One of these pieces is located in Scotland and will definitely take all of your platforming skills to secure. Hidden gems are scattered throughout the castle and are waiting in nearly every corner to discover. Multiple secret treasures lie in wait, and while the regular level isn't too difficult to traverse, some of these treasures are tricky to find. It's definitely worth it to try and make your way into any wall that looks suspicious. The final boss of this level is the sorcerer of the castle, who vanishes and reappears as twins before one of the sorcerers vanishes as a fake. It takes 5 bops to the head with a pogo-sticking cane in order to find the treasure of the level, the Lamp of Eternity. So for a fun spooky season castle to explore, this one definitely wins for atmosphere and hidden secrets. Number 4. Grasslands Castle in Super Mario Bros. 3. Alright, so finally, Super Mario Bros. 3 makes it onto one of my top 10 lists. And while there are many ghost-filled castles that could have been included here, I decided to go with the original, the one and only Grasslands Castle. While there aren't any boos in this level, we do meet our very first dry bones, and there is a secret unlike any other hidden deep inside this level in the form of a warp whistle. This castle was the evolution of a castle from the original Super Mario Bros. Game, including Podoboos, Roto-Discs, and tricky platforming over lava pits and under falling spikes. The final battle with Boom Boom was a brand new type of boss battle for the Mario franchise at the same time. 3 hits on the head and he's gone. This is certainly the easiest castle level throughout the game, but it deserves a spot on the spooky list for being the one to introduce us to all new Mario mechanics that have stayed the test of time and appeared again and again in newer Mario games. So search the first castle, make your way to the warp whistle or the battle with Boom Boom in this spooky season level from Super Mario Bros. 3. Number 3. Ground Floor in Castlevania. So I realize some people might throw Castlevania into the horror genre of games, but this one for me stands as a platformer in my head forever and always. It might contain some horror elements such as bats and zombies and swamp creatures, but this game definitely is a lot of fun during spooky season. There are so many of these stages in this game that could have found their way onto this list, but I chose the ground floor as it is our first introduction to the world of Simon Belmont. For being a 1986 game, there's a lot going on visually, and while not as crisp as later games and suffering from some of the changing difficulty that just ramps up and up and up in places, Castlevania is definitely worth a playthrough or a try-through. Some of the mechanics are difficult to discover without a guide, as the first time I played this as an adult, I could not figure out what was going wrong with the staircases, until I finally realized you have to press up or down on the D-pad in order to actually move along the steps. The outside of the castle sets the mood perfectly, and allows for the player to experiment with Simon's controls. Upgrades and a variety of weapons are available for Simon to use, and make the levels a lot easier to traverse. Spooky season has never officially begun until I attempt to make it through this NES classic. Number 2. The Haunted Mansion in Adventures in the Magic Kingdom. I know some people absolutely despise this game, but being a Disney World fan, and especially a Haunted Mansion fan, there's nothing like that spooky level set in the Haunted Mansion. It's a true platforming stage in this game filled with a variety of level styles ranging from racing to puzzles and riddles. The Haunted Mansion level begins outside in the graveyard as you take your candles into the mansion, fighting off zombies, dancing ghosts, creepy coffin hands, and eventually the ghost haunting the attic in a final showdown. All along, the heads are singing in the background just as you would expect. This level is a masterful use of background details, engaging areas, and no two sections are the same. It does suffer from a little bit of lag near the end of the 3rd floor, but otherwise the platforming is challenging and yet fun. There are plenty of candles to collect to use as projectiles as well as stars that will allow you to use the menu to buy power-ups such as invincibility or extra lives. This is a near perfect execution of a spooky season level in an otherwise could be forgettable game. But the nostalgia is real for me on this one, and while it might be taking over the way I see this game, I still can't help but bust out this level every year. And now it's that time. What is my number one spooky season NES level? Maybe you've already guessed it, or maybe you haven't, but here's my pick for the best NES spooky season level. Number 1. Transylvania in DuckTales. DuckTales is a game I could play over and over again and never get tired of. From the incredible music in the moon stage to the sprawling exploratory gameplay, Scrooge McDuck is one of my favorite video game protagonists, perhaps ever. Okay, actually, Mario's my number 1, but Scrooge is up there on the list. I will never forget the first time I played the Transylvania level in DuckTales. It was definitely an exciting exploration of a huge Transylvanian house or castle or mansion, once again, a little unclear. It's always been a little bit difficult to figure out. There are secret rooms to find, magic mirrors that will transport you across the stage, minecart sections that lead to better and better secret treasures, a mini battle with a Beagle Boy, and multiple hidden treasures. The enemies range from mummy-like ducks to ghosts that pop out of coffins when you swing your cane at them. I never could quite figure out how to dodge those ghosts, but here's to more playthroughs to figure it out. The final battle takes you up against Magica Dispel, my favorite villain from the cartoon series. She puts up a fight here, transforming into a bird before landing and throwing out 3 electric bolts. Pogo sticking on her head 5 times will defeat her and give you the big treasure from the level. The best part is you return to this level 2 more times in the course of the game. Once you come back to retrieve a key to the African Mine stage, and a second time you come back to face off against the final boss before a mad dash up the ropes to take back the treasures Flintheart Glomgold has stolen from you. All in all, this is my perfect idea of a spooky season level in an NES game. So what are your favorite spooky season NES levels? Any that I missed you think should have been on the list? Put them in the comments below along with your own rankings. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe. Until next time, I'm the Play It Again Pastor, and play spooky.